If you want to radically improve your life, if you want to move from where you are now to where you truly want to be, then it begins with your habits. Success isn't an accident. It's the result of deliberate actions repeated daily. Small disciplines practiced consistently lead to massive results over time. Today, I want to share with you 10 habits that, when practiced daily, can transform every area of your life. Your career, finances, relationships, and most importantly, your confidence and sense of purpose. Plan your day the night before success begins with clarity. Before you go to bed, write down your top priorities for the next day. This one habit will double your productivity and reduce stress. You start the day with direction, not distraction. Wake up early, the world belongs to the early risers. Waking up early gives you quiet time to think, plan, read, and prepare your mind. While others are sleeping, you're growing. Set goals every day, don't just have goals, write them daily. Review them, rewrite them, remind your brain where it's headed. A mind focused on goals will filter out the noise and zero in on what matters. Exercise for energy. A strong body fuels a strong mind. Even 20-30 minutes of daily movement can elevate your energy, improve focus, and build discipline. Motion creates emotion. Get your body moving and your mind will follow. Read at least 30 minutes a day. Leaders are readers. When you read daily, you expand your perspective, sharpen your thinking, and gain insights most people will never access. Every book is a mentor. Practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Start or end your day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. It resets your attitude and opens you to more opportunities. Avoid time wasters. Identify your biggest distractions, TV, social media, mindless scrolling, and eliminate or reduce them. Time is your most valuable asset. Protect it fiercely. Take 100% responsibility for your life. No more blaming, no more excuses. Own your results. When you take full responsibility, you gain full control. And that's where your power lies. Track your progress. What gets measured gets improved. Keep a journal or system to track your habits, your wins, your income, your health. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Never stop learning. The moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing. Commit to lifelong learning. Podcasts, courses, mentors, invest in your mind daily, and your results will compound. That many people believe that success is a matter of talent, intelligence, or even luck. They look at high achievers and assume they were born with a special gift or stumbled into opportunity. But the truth is much simpler and much more empowering. Success is not an accident. It is the natural result of small disciplines practiced every single day. Consistency beats intensity, beats intensity. It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your destiny. It's what you do every day. The most successful people in the world aren't necessarily the smartest. They're not the ones with the best backgrounds, the most resources, or even the most connections. They're the ones who have learned to form productive habits and repeat them. Day in and day out, they have trained themselves to do what needs to be done, even when they don't feel like it. That's the habit of self-discipline. And it's one of the most valuable traits you can develop. Every habit you currently have, good or bad, was formed by repetition. You brush your teeth without thinking because it became automatic. The same principle applies to success habits. Whether it's planning your day, reading for growth, waking up early, or reviewing your goals, the power lies in making it a part of your routine. Once a habit is established, it becomes easier to follow than to resist. Your habits take over, and they start driving your results. Your brain is a goal-seeking mechanism. When you repeat a behavior, your brain wires it in as a pattern. At first, it takes effort. But with repetition, what was once uncomfortable becomes your new normal. Imagine what would happen if you made it a habit to wake up early, to learn every day, to invest in yourself. Over time, your life would begin to reflect those choices, because your habits would be aligned with your vision. This is why habits are more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you'll feel inspired. Other days you won't. But habits don't care how you feel. Once they're ingrained, they carry you through. That's the secret most people overlook. If you build the right habits, your emotions no longer control your actions. Your standards do. You become consistent, not just committed. One of the most important shifts you can make is to stop focusing on outcomes and start focusing on habits. Don't worry about losing 30 pounds. Focus on the habit of healthy eating and daily movement. Don't obsess over making $1 million. Build the habit of providing value, improving skills, and managing money wisely. Goals set the direction, but habits create the momentum. Habits also remove decision fatigue. When your day is structured by powerful routines, you don't waste mental energy deciding what to do next. You already know. This frees up your focus and willpower for higher level thinking and creative problem solving. The most productive people don't have more time. They simply use habits to maximize their time and protect their energy. So when you look at someone who's successful, who's calm, confident, and in control, understand that it's not magic. It's not luck, it's habits. Invisible routines built quietly over time. And the best part? You can build them too. One small habit at a time, one day at a time. Because success doesn't happen suddenly. It happens daily. One of the most powerful productivity habits you can develop is planning your day the night before. It may sound simple, even trivial, but it's anything but. This single practice can dramatically change the way you think, act, and achieve. Why? Because clarity precedes mastery. When you wake up with a clear plan, you eliminate the morning fog and replace it with laser focus. You begin your day with intention instead of reaction. Most people start their day in chaos. They check their phones, get distracted by notifications, and immediately fall into a reactive mindset. They're not leading their day, they're being led by it. But those who take 5 to 10 minutes the night before to write down their top priorities for the next day gain a significant edge. They're not scrambling. They're executing. Planning in advance gives you control, and control breeds confidence. When you plan your day the night before, you engage your subconscious mind. As you sleep, your mind begins organizing and preparing for the tasks ahead. You wake up more prepared, more aligned, and more motivated. You're not wondering what to do. You already know. This mental clarity saves you time, reduces stress, and keeps you on track when distractions try to pull you off course. There's another benefit to this habit. It forces you to think about what truly matters. Instead of waking up and reacting to the urgent, you've already chosen the important. And that's a crucial distinction. The most successful people don't do more. They do what matters most. By planning your day in advance, you train your brain to filter out low-value tasks and focus on high-value results. Your to-do list should never be a random collection of tasks. It should be a strategic tool, carefully designed the night before to reflect your highest priorities. Think in terms of impact. What are the 3 most valuable things I can do tomorrow? What, if done well, will move me closer to my goals? Write those down. Circle them. Focus on them. And you'll begin to notice a pattern. Small wins compound into big progress. Another advantage of nighttime planning is that it quiets the mind. So many people lie in bed with racing thoughts about what needs to be done tomorrow. But if you've already written it down, your brain can relax. You've given yourself structure, and structure breeds peace. You'll sleep better knowing you're prepared. And when you sleep better, you perform better. And forever. This habit also builds momentum. When you start your day with a plan, you immediately step into action. You don't waste time with indecision or mental clutter. You hit the ground running. And that early momentum often determines how the rest of your day will go. A well-planned morning leads to a well-executed day, and those days stack into weeks, months, and eventually a successful life. The truth is, most people are busy, but not effective. They spend their time reacting to the urgent instead of creating results. Planning the night before breaks that cycle. It puts you in the driver's seat. It turns your days into building blocks for your dreams. And over time, this one simple practice will separate you from 95% of the world who are still trying to figure out where to begin. Every great achievement begins with a clearly defined goal. Goals give your life direction. They turn your desires into plans and your plans into action. Without goals, you're like a ship without a rudder, adrift, uncertain, and reactive. But with goals, you're intentional, deliberate, and in control. That's why goal setting should never be a one-time event. It must be a daily ritual. It's not enough to set goals once a year. You must review and rewrite them every single day to keep your mind aligned with your mission. When you write your goals daily, you activate the power of repetition. Repetition is the mother of learning and the father of action. Each time you write your goals, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind to focus on what matters most. You're planting the seeds of achievement deep into your mental soil. Over time, those seeds grow into clarity, commitment, and eventually results. Daily goal setting isn't just about writing, it's about reminding yourself what you're committed to becoming. Most people drift through their days reacting to whatever shows up without ever asking themselves what they truly want. But when you begin each day by rewriting your goals, longhand on paper, you take back control. You're no longer living by accident, you're living by design. You're telling your brain, this is what we're working toward today. And when your brain knows the target, it starts filtering information, spotting opportunities, and guiding your decisions toward that aim. Writing your goals every day also forces you to get specific. Vague goals produce vague results. I want to be successful is not a goal. I will increase my income to $100,000 per year by December 31st is a goal. The clearer the target, the greater the likelihood of hitting it. By making goal writing a daily habit, you're constantly sharpening your vision, refining your objectives, and building the mental blueprint that your results will eventually follow. There's also a psychological benefit. Writing your goals daily keeps you emotionally connected to your vision. It creates a sense of urgency and accountability. You begin to feel the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and that gap fuels action. You start to evaluate your behaviors through the lens of your goals. Does this task move me closer or further away? Oh, away. Am I operating in alignment with my vision, or am I getting distracted by the trivial? The habit also helps you adapt and adjust. Life changes. Markets shift. Circumstances evolve. When you write your goals daily, you give yourself the opportunity to recalibrate. You might discover that a goal you once chased no longer excites you, and that's okay. The point is to stay engaged in the process. By writing and reviewing your goals each day, you stay flexible without losing focus. You become more responsive, more strategic, and more aligned. Most importantly, goal setting builds belief. The more you see the same goal in your own handwriting, the more you begin to believe it's possible. At first, it might feel like a stretch. It might feel out of reach. But over time, repetition turns fantasy into familiarity. You begin to own the goal in your mind, and once you own it mentally, you'll begin moving toward it physically. Belief is the fuel, and daily goal writing is the spark that ignites it. Remember this, people who write their goals daily are the people who achieve them. Why? Because what gets written gets remembered. What gets remembered gets prioritized, and what gets prioritized gets done. That's why this habit separates the wishful thinkers from the intentional achievers. The dreamers talk about goals. The winners write them down every single day, every single day. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life, and the condition of that vehicle directly affects the quality of the journey. If your physical energy is low, your mental performance suffers. Fatigue clouds your thinking. Weakness erodes your confidence. But when your body is strong and energized, your mind becomes sharp, alert, and ready to perform. That's why daily exercise is not just a fitness strategy. It's a success strategy. High achievers protect their energy by making movement a non-negotiable part of their routine. Many people separate their physical health from their professional or personal goals, but the truth is everything is connected. You can't execute your goals if you're tired, sluggish, or mentally foggy. Exercise boosts oxygen flow to the brain, enhances memory, improves concentration, and lifts your mood. It's one of the fastest ways to build mental clarity and resilience. When your body is active, your mind becomes more active. You think better. You feel better. You produce better. You produce better. The benefits of consistent physical activity go far beyond appearance. You build discipline. You strengthen willpower. You train your mind to follow through, even when it's hard. When you push through the discomfort of exercise, you reinforce the habit of doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. And that's the exact mindset you need to push through in business, relationships, and life. Daily exercise is mental training disguised as physical effort. You don't need to train like an athlete. You just need to move with intention. Even 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking, stretching, strength training, or cardio can change your entire day. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. It's about building the habit of motion. Because motion creates emotion. When you move your body, you elevate your state. And when you elevate your state, you approach challenges with energy instead of exhaustion. Exercise also teaches you to set goals and measure progress. You learn to track your improvements, adjust your strategies, and stay committed to a vision. Whether it's increasing your stamina, lifting heavier weights, or improving flexibility, fitness gives you constant feedback. That feedback keeps you engaged and motivated, and those same skills carry over into every other area of your life. Success in one area breeds success in others. There's also a powerful emotional shift that happens with daily movement. It reduces anxiety. It fights depression. It boosts self-esteem. You start to feel proud of yourself, not just for how you look, but for what you're doing. That inner pride translates into outer confidence. You stand taller. You speak with more certainty. You show up with presence. And that kind of presence is magnetic. It attracts opportunities, respect, and influence. One of the greatest advantages of daily exercise is the compounding effect. You might not feel a dramatic difference after one workout, but over weeks and months, the energy builds, the confidence builds, the strength builds, and suddenly you're operating on a higher level than you ever thought possible. You're not just keeping up, you're outpacing the old version of yourself. That is the reward of consistency, exponential improvement. If you're serious about success, if you want to think clearly, make strong decisions, and lead with impact, then you must make physical movement part of your daily rhythm. It's not about finding time. It's about making time. Because when your body is energized, your mind becomes unstoppable. And when your mind is unstoppable, there is no limit to what you can achieve. In today's fast-moving world, information is the currency of success. The more you know, the more valuable you become. And one of the most powerful ways to gain knowledge, sharpen your thinking, and stay ahead of the curve is by reading. Just 30 minutes of reading each day, done consistently, can put you miles ahead of the competition. Why? Because most people have stopped reading after school. They're not learning. They're not growing. And that gives you a distinct advantage when you decide to make reading a daily habit. Reading is mental nutrition. Just as your body needs food to stay strong, your mind needs ideas, strategies, and insights to stay sharp. Books expose you to the thinking patterns of successful people. They compress decades of experience into hours of study. When you read, you're downloading wisdom. You're accessing new ways of seeing the world, solving problems, and making decisions. Every great leader, entrepreneur, and achiever has one thing in common. They're voracious readers. A 30-minute reading habit compounds quickly. In a week, that's 3.5 hours. In a month, that's 14 hours. In a year, that's over 180 hours of focused learning. Or that's the equivalent of reading 15 to 20 books. Books that could completely shift your mindset, teach you new skills, or open up entirely new possibilities. And in a world where most people are distracted by entertainment, scrolling, and noise, you become the one who's steadily getting smarter, stronger, and more prepared. Reading also strengthens your discipline. It forces you to slow down, to focus, to think. In an age of short attention spans, this is a superpower. Every time you sit down to read, you're training your brain to concentrate. That ability to sit with an idea, to understand it, to apply it, is rare. And the rarer your skill set, the more value you bring to any table. Reading doesn't just give you knowledge, it builds your capacity to absorb and act on knowledge. One of the greatest returns from daily reading is the mindset shift. Books written by people who have accomplished great things challenge your thinking. They stretch your beliefs about what's possible. They force you to confront your limitations and replace them with better, stronger patterns of thought. When you read the stories of those who've overcome adversity, built empires, or changed the world, something inside you begins to change too. You start to believe more, expect more, and do more. The key is to be intentional with what you read. Choose books that align with your goals. If you want to grow in business, read business books. If you want to build confidence, read about psychology or personal development. Don't just read for entertainment. Read for transformation. The right book at the right time can unlock a breakthrough, shift your direction, or reveal the next step in your journey. That's the power of focused reading. It turns confusion into clarity and learning into leverage. Reading also gives you a language advantage. The more you read, the better you speak. The better you speak, the more clearly you communicate your ideas. And clear communication is essential in leadership, sales, negotiation, and influence. Books expand your vocabulary, your comprehension, and your ability to express complex thoughts simply. That makes you more persuasive, more credible, and more impactful in every area of life. While others waste their evenings in front of screens, you're feeding your mind. While others scroll through distractions, you're stacking advantages. Over time, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. You're sharper, you're faster, you're wiser. And you've done it through a simple daily discipline that requires no talent, just commitment. That's the beauty of reading. The investment is small, but the return is exponential. One of the most underestimated influences on your success is your environment. Many people rely too heavily on willpower to reach their goals. But the truth is, your willpower is limited. It fades under pressure. It weakens with fatigue. But your environment? That's constant. And that's why shaping your environment, including the people in it, is more important than forcing discipline and isolation. If you surround yourself with people who think big, act decisively, and push for growth, you rise with them. If you're around negativity, excuses, and mediocrity, you get pulled down, no matter how strong your will is. Your surroundings act like gravity. They either lift you up or hold you down. Every conversation, every attitude, every mindset you encounter during your day has an impact. And the people closest to you are the strongest force of all. If your circle is filled with complainers, doubters, and procrastinators, your motivation drains. But if your inner circle is made up of focused, driven, forward-thinking individuals, they energize you, they challenge you. They make you better simply by being who they are. Growth is contagious. When you're around people who are committed to excellence, you feel a healthy pressure to raise your standards. Their habits become your habits. Their ambition fuels yours. It becomes normal to set goals, follow through, and talk about ideas instead of gossip. It becomes normal to stretch yourself, read, invest, and take action. This is the kind of environment that produces transformation, not because it forces you to change, but because it inspires you to. You must be ruthless about your associations. That doesn't mean being arrogant or judgmental. It means being intentional. Ask yourself, who do I spend the most time with? Do they push me or pacify me? Do they celebrate growth or complain about challenges? Your future depends on your answer. Because success leaves clues, and those clues are often found in conversations, habits, and expectations that surround you daily. If you want to grow, you have to place yourself in rooms where growth is happening. Attend seminars. Join masterminds. Engage in conversations with people who are ahead of you. Don't be intimidated by someone who knows more or has done more. Be inspired by them. Proximity is power. The closer you are to excellence, the more of it rubs off on you. Let other people's success expand your belief in what's possible. It's also important to build an environment that eliminates friction. If your physical space is cluttered, disorganized, and chaotic, it drains your mental energy. But when your environment is clean, organized, and designed for productivity, everything feels smoother. The less resistance you have between intention and action, the more consistent you become. Set your space up to support your goals, because your space is a reflection of your standards. Your digital environment matters too. What you consume online, social media, news, videos, shapes your mindset just as much as the people you talk to in person. If your feed is filled with negativity, distractions, and fear-based content, it weakens your drive. But if you're following educators, leaders, and creators who fuel your vision, you stay focused. Audit your inputs. Filter what you allow into your mind. Curate your content as carefully as you curate your friendships. In the end, you rise to the level of your environment. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. Willpower can start the engine, but your environment keeps it running. And if you want to sustain high performance over the long term, you must build a world around you that demands more from you and supports you every step of the way. Success is not just about action. It's about action. It's about insight. And one of the most valuable habits you can build is the habit of daily reflection. Taking a few moments at the end of each day to evaluate your thoughts, behaviors, and results accelerates your growth more than almost anything else. Most people go through their day reacting. They rush from one task to the next without ever asking, "What did I learn today?" But those who reflect gain an edge. They become smarter, faster, and more adaptable with each passing day. Daily reflection gives you awareness, and awareness is the foundation of improvement. When you review your day, you begin to recognize patterns. You see what worked and what didn't. You start to understand why certain things cause stress, why some conversations succeeded, and where you wasted time or energy. These realizations are invisible during the rush of the day, but they come to light in quiet reflection. That's when insight is born. And insight leads to better decisions tomorrow. When you reflect, you also catch mistakes early. Instead of letting small errors compound into bigger problems, you spot them while they're still manageable. Maybe you were too reactive in a meeting. Maybe you skipped an important task. Maybe you drifted off track from your goals. By reviewing your day honestly, you give yourself a chance to self-correct quickly. That's how top performers stay sharp. They don't let problems linger. They face them, learn from them, and make adjustments fast. Reflection also helps you stay aligned with your long-term vision. It's easy to get lost in the busyness of daily tasks and lose sight of the bigger picture. But when you end your day with questions like, did I move closer to my goals today? Or did I act in alignment with my values? You stay grounded. You stay purposeful. You're not just doing work. You're doing meaningful work that pushes you forward. That clarity builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. This process doesn't need to be complicated. Just 10 to 15 minutes of writing in a journal, asking yourself a few powerful questions, or reviewing your to-do list is enough. The key is consistency. It's not what you reflect on once a month that matters. It's what you reflect on daily. Repetition strengthens awareness. And daily awareness builds mastery. This is how you go from living by chance to living by design. Reflection also sharpens your emotional intelligence. You become more aware of your moods, triggers, and reactions. You begin to notice how certain environments, people, or situations affect your state of mind. That kind of insight allows you to respond more effectively, lead with more empathy, and build stronger relationships. The more you understand yourself, the more power you have to influence the world around you. One of the most underrated benefits of daily reflection is gratitude. When you take time to look back on your day, you often realize how much you've actually accomplished, small wins, progress made, lessons learned. You begin to appreciate the journey. This positive reinforcement strengthens your mindset and renews your energy for the next day. Gratitude doesn't make you complacent. It makes you stronger. It reminds you why the work matters. Ultimately, daily reflection turns your life into a feedback loop. Each day becomes a teacher. Each experience becomes a lesson. And you stop repeating the same mistakes over and over again. While others keep hitting the same walls, you quietly build wisdom. You're no longer just doing, you're learning while doing. That's the difference between movement and growth. And it all begins with the simple habit of taking time every day to think. Progress is not always obvious, and that's why tracking it is essential. Without tracking, your efforts are just motion, activity without direction. But the moment you start measuring, everything changes. You become more focused, more intentional, and more accountable. Tracking your progress takes your goals out of the realm of theory and puts them into practical, visible movement. It shows you where you are, how far you've come, and what needs to be adjusted. What gets measured gets improved, and what gets ignored gets lost. When you track something, you give it value. Whether it's your income, your fitness, your habits, or your skills, monitoring your progress forces you to pay attention. And attention is power. It keeps your goals alive in your mind, day after day. It transforms vague wishes into concrete outcomes. Instead of hoping things will get better, you now know what's working and what's not. That clarity builds momentum, and momentum builds results. Tracking also keeps you emotionally engaged. When you see evidence that you're improving even by a small margin, you feel encouraged. You begin to trust the process. You understand that growth isn't just an idea. It's a reality unfolding before your eyes. This confidence is critical. It keeps you moving even when progress feels slow. When others quit out of frustration, you keep going because you can see your path clearly marked behind you. There's another powerful benefit. Tracking creates a system of self-accountability. You can't lie to yourself when the numbers are right there in front of you. If you said you were going to make 10 sales calls a day and you only made 4, the data exposes that gap. It calls you out without emotion or judgment. That kind of feedback is a gift. It helps you correct course quickly, rather than drifting for weeks or months in the wrong direction. Tracking also brings discipline. It trains your mind to focus on inputs, not just outcomes. You learn that results are a reflection of consistent effort. Every small action counts. Every page read, every dollar saved, every workout completed is a step forward. Over time, these small measured steps add up to massive transformation. People who don't track often overlook this. They underestimate the power of steady, incremental gains. But those who track understand that mastery is built one deliberate action at a time. Think of tracking as your personal scoreboard. Athletes track their stats. CEOs track their numbers. Great leaders track their goals. Why? Because it gives them control. It allows them to pivot, adapt, and optimize in real time. If you're not measuring your progress, you're not managing your performance, you're guessing. And in a world that rewards precision and excellence, guessing is a losing strategy. The act of writing things down, whether in a journal, planner, spreadsheet, or app, reinforces your commitment. It shows that you take your growth seriously. It turns effort into evidence. It also makes the process rewarding. When you can look back at a chart, a calendar, or a logbook and see how far you've come, you gain a sense of pride and purpose. That pride fuels more action. And that action creates more progress. Finally, tracking gives you proof. Proof that you're moving. Proof that the work is paying off. And that proof becomes your internal fuel. When you can say to yourself, "I've done this for 30 straight days," your self-image shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries. You become someone who finishes, someone who executes, someone who wins. Remember, changing your life doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. These habits are not shortcuts or quick fixes. They are daily commitments that build your character, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your spirit. When you adopt even one of these habits and stick with it, you start moving from where you are to where you want to be. But when you commit to all 10, your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. The path to lasting success is built one small action at a time, repeated day after day through the power of consistency and intention. You have the power to control your habits, to shape your future, and to design the life you deserve. It won't always be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve lies in the daily disciplines you choose to embrace. So make the decision right now to take control of your habits. Start today with 1, then 2, then 3. Build momentum. Stay focused. Stay committed. Because your future self is waiting, stronger, wiser, and more successful. Because you decided to change your life forever, one habit at a time.